Alright, so we're gonna try a 5 by 5 by 5 cube. Let me change the color on this. We're gonna try a 5 by 5 by 5 cube, and the fourth dimension 4 will be the amount of configurations there are. So there's 4 5 by 5 by 5 cubes, and we're gonna try the concept of having four configurations of the same cube. So it's one cube, but the way the walls are arranged and the manners in which you can travel through the halls, there's 4 configurations of those. So it's not, instead of thinking of it as 4 cubes, we're going to think of it as the same cube with 4 configurations. Right, so let's begin. Alright, so here we have, let's see. Right, so I want the top screen. The top screen is going to be the navigation screen. The bottom screen is just going to be for reference, so you can travel along the configurations. If you look at the numbers at the bottom left, you see 0, 0, 1, 0, right? So because of the extra dimension, there's a 0 at the end. That means it's coordinates, so that's the first configuration. So it goes from 0 to 3, so that's 0, 1, 2, 3. That's 4 configurations of the same cube. And so I'm going to be using that. So right now we're in the first, if you look around here, this is the first configuration of the 5 by 5 by 5 cube, right? And this is the first configuration. So we're going to do configuration A, B, C, D, or we could just call it first configuration, second configuration, third and fourth configuration. Yeah, so if you look right here, that's the first configuration, and because I have the yellow on the sideways on the bottom screen, that's how we travel along the configurations, right? So this is the first configuration, and right now, using the coordinates at the bottom left, we're in position 0, 0, 1. From using the coordinates, we could also tell what floor we're at. So I'm kind of thinking about that. Let's see, what else? Also, once I use the brush, I will no longer be able to see the numbers on the bottom. So I'll try not to use the brush, so I could use the coordinate numbers as reference. But if I have to, then I'll do that. Yeah, so 0, 0, 1. So right now we're in the second floor. So let's go to the third floor. There's the first configuration. And if you see right here, if we travel that way, that will be in the second configuration. But this is the first configuration. Let's explore what's in here in the first configuration first. Right now we're in the 5th floor, so we're in the very top. And in the top, we can, okay, so that's clear. Alright, so there's many places in which we could travel to the second configuration. It's already inviting us. So this spot right here invites us to the second configuration, one right there. This spot right here invites us to the second configuration. arrangements of the same cube. That spot right there. It's also an opening to the second configuration. So far there's 3. This spot right here invites us to the second configuration. And so does this one right here. 4, 5. That's 5 spots that invite us to the second configuration. Alright. So, because there's only 4 configurations, once we travel that way, like that'll be 1 cube. And so, if we travel, whether we travel transdimensionally to the second configuration, whether we travel to the second configuration here or up here, the second configuration will look the same, but we'll be in different parts of that cube, of that 5 by 5 by 5 cube. That's why I'm using the language of configurations to kind of like point that out. So we're going to travel to the second configuration, and in the second configuration, in the second floor, in the corner of the second floor, let's see, is this a corner? Let me go back to the first configuration. Right, so right now we're in the back left corner of the cube. Back left corner of the cube. So let's switch to configurations. So if you watch the top screen, you'll see how the walls shift, right? The static and then the walls shift. That means we've traveled to the second configuration. Ready? Yeah. So we're still in the back right corner of the cube, but the wall is just arranged differently. Alright, good. Not much here. So let's travel back to the first configuration. And we can travel to the second configuration at the top floor. This is the top floor now. Top floor, back right corner of the cube. Yeah. So we're at the very top back of the cube right now. Let's see. And the second configuration looks like this. We're still at the very top back of the cube. And in this part of the second configuration, there's only 2 cells available. So it's kind of a trap there. Nothing down there. Traveling downward. Alright. So right now we're in this spot. We're kind of like in the center. I'm not really keeping track of my coordinates within the cube. I should probably do that. But let's go to the second configuration. And it's a lone cube right here. There's nowhere to go. So. There's 3 spots. Nothing on that side. So we are in the very front. No, I think. Yeah. We're at the bottom, all the way to the left of the cube. Hold on. But I think there's one more to check right here. Yeah. So we're at the bottom floor in this part of the cube. Let's travel to this configuration. There's nothing here. Okay. I think there's nothing up there. Second floor, nothing. Okay. Good. So right now we're at the bottom floor of the cube. So it's just a 5 by 5 by 5 cube. No, not too big. It can get confusing sometimes, but it's not too big. Right now we're at the bottom floor. And we're traveling all the way to the right. I think we're all the way to, no. And anyway. Yeah. So we're all the way forward on the cube, all the way to the bottom. and there's one more space that way. So let's travel to the second configuration. And this will definitely lead us somewhere because all the rest of them are dead ends. Oh, okay, watch this. So this is the first configuration. And this way, you can look all the way down all the configurations and see how they, if you look at the bottom screen, you can look all the way down the configurations and see how they switch, right? So when you're looking at the bottom screen, you're looking down the configurations, right? Let's see, how can I describe this? So in this part of the cube, we're all the way forward. We're all the way forward on the cube, and we're all the way at the bottom. And when you look at the bottom screen, you're not looking through space. You're kind of looking through the configurations, right? It's kind of having like it's kind of like having an option screen. Like if you had an option screen in real life, right? Where you could like see through all the options. You could see through all the possibilities of what you could choose. If you were to be able to look through the fourth dimension, that's what it would be. It would be kind of like looking through your options. Yeah. And you could choose your existence. Except that, you know, options become space because you're thinking of it spatially. So instead of seeing your options in your mind or thinking through them, it's like you're seeing your options in space. So that's another way to think about the fourth dimension, actually. Like imagine an option screen like in a video game or something. Imagine you saw it like in space, like actually visually, like press start, select options, you know. You want blue, do you want red, do you want this? If you actually saw it in space, it would kind of, that's kind of like an example of seeing the fourth dimension spatially, visually. Okay, so let's focus on the bottom screen. We have 4 configurations. Right? And you can see through the options. And if you look at the floor, like they're all the same floor. It's the bottom floor all the way forward, all right? Because this is, if you look at the top screen, that's all the way forward. It's the bottom floor too, as far as the coordinates. And there's one more space there. And if you look down that way, still. Here, let me see if I can do this. Yeah. If you look down through the dimensions, it's still the bottom floor, and it's still all the way that side of the cube. Let's see if I could mess around with this. Yeah. Second last. Yeah, so really interesting. I feel like there's another insight that I could be getting from this, but I'm not sure what it is. Okay, so yeah, all the way. So I'm gonna try and keep the coordinates. Oh, look, the coordinates are gone now. So I'm gonna try and keep a track of what part of the cube I'm in as I travel. But right now, it's first configuration all the way forward, all the way down. Let's go. Second configuration. Yeah. And we're all the way to the front, so let's see where the second configuration takes us. Travel back a bit. Let's travel back. We travel to the third configuration because there's nowhere else to go here. In the third configuration, there's kind of hallway here and a hallway that way, so it's kind of like shaped like an L here. So let's go back to the second configuration. Travel back to the front. Back down. So right now we're all the way to the front. And so that's for the second configuration. We only found that much. But let's go to the third configuration. In the third configuration, there's this spot, and there's a room there, so we could travel to the fourth and last configuration. But let's check this out. Alright, so we're traveling back and to the fourth configuration. This is the fourth and last configuration. So when you travel back and forth along the configurations stay the same. There's only 4 configurations, 4 possibilities of how the 5x5x5 cube could be shaped. Alright, so if we travel here, we're going to travel back to the third configuration. Actually, no, not yet. Let me explore this area first. Okay. Back to the third configuration. There's a lone cube right there. Oh, look. And let's back to the second configuration. Oh gosh, this is getting confusing. Right, so let's travel to the side here. So this is the fourth configuration, fourth and last configuration. Third configuration. I forgot where I'm at. Alright. So that's back to the beginning right there. That's the fourth configuration. So we're all the way here. I'm getting confused here. Right. So we're all the way in the front. All the way in the front, all the way in the bottom, and we're in the third configuration right here. Third configuration of the cube. Let's just travel to the fourth configuration to see what the fourth configuration looks like in this spot. All the way in the bottom. Oh, okay. So we travel back. And my mind is just working overdrive, trying to keep track of all the configurations and thinking about it in this way. Because I'm having trouble keeping track of where I came from. Because I'm not thinking about it as a place, I'm thinking about it as configurations. Okay. Need to explore the third configuration on this spot. Okay. Alright. So if we go here, we're all the way at the corner of the cube. Front, right, actually no. There, right here. Right here's the front right corner of the cube, second floor, fourth configuration. Go back to the front right there. All right. That's where all the configurations are at. Shoot, man, it's confusing. Yeah. Right, fourth configuration. can travel back a little bit, and we can travel back to the third configuration. Third configuration. Third configuration has a little isolated hallway there that leads to dead end. Alright, back to the fourth configuration. Back to the front of the cube where we can travel to the third configuration. Back to the third configuration. Oh gosh, alright. Trying to understand how all these configurations overlap, and that's just too much brain work for me. I'm not able to do it right now. Maybe with enough practice I'll be able to like behold, maybe with a smaller cube actually. Maybe a 3x3x3 cube with 4 configurations. But that resembles too much of a tower, you know, which I already done. But yeah, it's really hard to memorize these 5x5x5 cubes, 4 configurations of the same cube.